I'd like to welcome everybody here. My name's Ron. I'm an alcoholic. Hey guys, it is officially 8:30. We're getting ready to start here. Please be mindful that we are not allowed to smoke on church property. The church asks that one simple thing: take care of their property. They give us the use of this $10 million facility. It has caution tape over there because they don't want us on that side of the church. So please be mindful of that. Just treat it nice because we do love this group. We do love this meeting. And we don't want to jeopardize that. We have a bunch of CDs. See me afterwards if you want some CDs. They're available free of charge. We always need help if you like to come here early. There's plenty of work to be done setting this all up, and then there's a ton of work taking it back down again. Kim's going to come up here and chair this meeting, and we're going to get this started. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kim and I'm an alcoholic. Welcome to the group of Conscious Contact Speaker Group of Alcoholics Anonymous. This is a 1-hour speaker meeting that meets every Saturday evening at St. Paul's Lutheran Church, 301 North Main Street at 8:30 p.m. in Doylestown. The purpose of the group is to provide a consistent message of hope and recovery through God reliance and service to others through the practice and teaching of the 12 steps. We record all speakers so that others may benefit from their message of recovery. If you wish not to be recorded, simply ask. This is an open meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. The group would like to welcome everyone, especially newcomers. Is there anyone new or from out of town that would like to introduce themselves with their first name?
Yeah, Russell from Doylestown, and I'm alcoholic.
Hey, Randy, welcome. John, welcome. Hi, Dennis, welcome.
I'm Don, I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Don, welcome. Hey, Jim, welcome. Go ahead.
I'm Brigham, I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Brendan.
How you guys doing? I'm Zach.
Hi, Zach.
I'm Paul, I'm alcoholic.
Hi, Paul, welcome.
Jackson, alcoholic.
Hi, Jackson, welcome. Is that everybody? All right. Well, welcome. The Conscious Contact Speaker Group encourages sponsorship. Would anyone with working knowledge of the 12 steps and is willing to sponsor, please raise your hands. Are there any announcements for the good of AA? We have meeting lists and big books on easy terms. Please see me or any home group member after the meeting. If you cannot afford a big book, the Conscious Contact Speaker Group will give you one at no charge. Anyone willing to make donations for the purchase of big books and CDs to help those who can't afford them can put donations in the jar on the table marked Big Book and CD donations in the back of the room. If you'd like a CD of any speaker, past or present, see myself or Ron before or after the meeting. They are available free of charge. I would like to introduce Zach to read the preamble. Oh, I didn't see where he was.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Zach. I'm an alcoholic. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And I've asked Ann to come up and read the 12 steps of recovery.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anthony. I'm an alcoholic. These are the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. Step 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. Step 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Step 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. Step 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Step 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Step 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Step 7, humbly ask Him to remove our shortcomings. Step 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Step 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Step 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Step 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. Step 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all of our affairs. Thanks.
I'd like to introduce Jeremy T. He is a good friend of the Conscious Contact Speaker Group, and he comes from Quincy, Mass., from the We Are Not Saints group. Please welcome Jeremy T.
I apologize. Real quick, we have no dues or fees. We have a seventh tradition. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. And Tim takes care of our ham sliders. He's on vacation, so when he comes back next week, give him really bust on him. I'm going to tell him half the group went out drinking because your sliders weren't here. So the basket's coming around. Have some fun, Jeremy. It's all yours, sir.
Thank you. That's wobbly.
Hi everyone, my name is Jeremy and I'm an alcoholic. Hi. How you doing? Good. So my sobriety date is February 5th, 2011. My home group is the We Are Not Saints group of Quincy, Massachusetts. It meets from 7 to 8 tonight at 40 Beale Street in Quincy, Massachusetts. So if you're ever there, you're all welcome. So I have a job to do. I do it a lot. Really doesn't change all that much. But basically my job is to share my experience, strength, and hope, and tell you what it was like, what happened, and what I am like today. And share, from my own point of view, using my own language, how I established a relationship with God. These are directions. During the book, I follow directions. Things seem to work out. Try it. And my sponsor always lets me know that it's just my job to share my experience and share it honestly. Just let it go, because it's not up to me what people get out of it or don't get out of it. It's not up to me, it's up to God. So just share my experience and share it honestly. So he tells me that a lot when I go to jail. I'm a corrections guy. I carry the message behind, in jails, institutions, and whatnot. And so, but it always frustrates me. And no matter how much I do it, I go in there and I speak at a jail, and they don't even pay attention. They're not even listening to me. And I think that they should, thus I am mad at them for not listening. And it doesn't make any sense to me either. Like, I'm the one that's not in jail. You would think they would, focus, guy, not in jail, listen to this. It's okay. But it's not my job to do that, to determine what they get out of it or not. It's my job to share my experience, to share it honestly, and leave the results up to God. So it's great to be here. Thank you for having me. Richard, thanks for putting me up. And Ron, thank you for the invite. We agreed on this a couple months ago, so I was excited to come out here. Never been to Doylestown before. Looks great. I'm sure you people are all fine and dandy. The drive was fine. The drive was fine. It was smooth sailing. I stopped twice, and it only took me like 5.5 hours, which is pretty good. So the drive home tomorrow morning may not be so nice. There's a giant ice storm, snowstorm. So Snowmageddon's coming, and I'm driving through it. But the book said any lengths, and I don't think they meant snowstorms. But who knows? So let's go. I don't know if I was born an alcoholic. I don't really care. We don't have to figure it out or debate it or have an argument in the parking lot, talk about genetics or anything like that. You can, I won't. But I have it, so what am I going to do about it? And it's pretty important to me now. I can identify having this thing that I now labeled as spiritual malady from day one. As far back as I can remember, I had it. And my dad actually tells me, you were angry since birth. And you never stopped. He told me, I had 2 years sober. I went over their house for dinner on my 2-year anniversary, and that's when he told me. I was like, oh, thanks, Dad. A little heart-to-heart moment. But it's absolutely true. Like as far back as I can remember, and I actually have I drank a lot, I took a lot of drugs, but I have a really good memory, and I just remember always feeling uncomfortable. Like I knew I just wasn't enough, no matter what it was. Jeremy simply was definitely not. I wasn't tall enough, I wasn't smart enough, I wasn't good looking enough, and like I wasn't a sociable person, and I had tremendous amounts of fear, and I had a whole lot of people that I thought were my friends, but I know they really weren't my friends, because I had a twin brother, so you can't be friends with one twin without being friends with the other, and so I have this de facto friends and nobody likes me, and it was like that all the time. It's like that's what it was like in my head, and that's not a fun place to live, but I had no idea how uncomfortable I was, because that's all I ever really experienced. Like there were some good times, but I don't feel comfortable in my own skin, and I had no idea how uncomfortable I was until I got comfortable. The first time I got comfortable was the first time I got drunk. Just to let you know, I'm probably going to do this for about an hour, so I just invite you all to be here, and invite whoever you think is your higher power to be here too, and just hang out. Just really be here. I invite you. That's an invitation from me to you. So the first time I got drunk was at my parents' house. My sister was older. She threw a high school party, and I had passed on parties and alcohol and drugs many times. I had a very low opinion of those that drank alcohol, and alcohol in general. It just didn't make any sense to me. So I was at this particular party, and there was a girl there, and she liked me, and I knew she liked me. I could tell, and I didn't like her, but it was all right because somebody likes me. I'm okay inside. Here we go. Story of my life. And so she handed me a drink, and I just took it. It just became okay to drink. It wasn't peer pressure. I just took it, and I had this reaction. I drank that drink, and after that, I drank everything that I could find in sight. I drank a lot of it. This the phenomenon of craving, this abnormal reaction I had, it happened from the first time. I just started drinking everything I could find, and I made out with that girl on the couch. I'm pretty sure I got to second base. And my parents had rafters in their ceilings. I was literally like swinging from the rafters and crawling and hiding under tables. And I was that obnoxious kid. But everyone's like, why did you invite him? And I was that kid at that high school party. And I remember, before I threw up, I was staring down at the makeshift bar, and a thought occurred to me. Something came over. I thought to myself, I didn't know you could feel this good. I just never experienced anything like it. I could finally breathe in and out and be okay for the first time ever. And the thought that immediately preceded that was, I wonder if you can feel like this all the time. All the time. Prior to this experience, I have a very low opinion of alcohol and those that drink it. I have one experience, and I want to feel like this always. And then I eventually got forcibly put to bed by a bunch of large guys. And I woke up the next morning, and I had a terrible hangover, and it was like the worst thing ever. And it was, and my sister was really mad at me, and I was very embarrassed about all the things that I had done that night before. And I had to go to a little kid's birthday party. And when I got there, everybody had found out what I did the night before, including the little kids. And I was mortified. And I told myself, I made a decision. I'm never going to do that again. My dad did that once. It's true. He got drunk at his brother's bachelor party, and he said, I'm never going to do that again. He didn't. Never been drunk since. It's been like 45 years. Never been drunk since. Real alcoholic, right? Next opportunity. I stayed away from him for weeks or months because I really didn't want to drink anymore. And I swore off forever the very first time. It didn't work. And the next opportunity I got, I ran away from home because I got in an argument with my dad. I developed a near bottle a day habit. I tried 4 or 5 drugs in less than a week, and I was off and running. I stayed out for like a couple weeks or months. I don't remember, just a little bit homeless, crashing, whatever. It doesn't matter. Eventually, I went back home. I just partied like that. I graduated high school. I went to a local community college. I was like, cool, we can party all the want. I grew up right in Rockland County, New York, so it's right outside of Manhattan, so I partied in New York City an awful lot, and I love that. I had arrived. You can drink till 4:30 in the morning in New York. I was going to school, making good money. I had a girl, I had a car. I thought, this is it. I am part of life at last. And I went upstate to a real university. There, my drinking took on more serious proportions, and I basically became a daily drinker. That went on for a while. It was a little harder to do real school, being a daily drinker. And I was kind of fed up with it. My girlfriend, she had this weird condition, and she got on pain management, and I had this very serious fake injury. It's very serious. And so I thought I needed to get on pain management too, and I did. And I know it's an outside issue. We milked that for all it's worth for a couple of years, doctor shopping that escalated into intravenous drug use, and a bunch of trips to Paterson, New Jersey, and the like. A lot of consequences, short amount of time. no money left, crashed and burned. Everybody found out about it, and I was basically thrust into treatment, and I went to detox, and I had a plan. I always have a plan, and I always think they're fantastic, because I think them, and thus they may be good. If you're new, come and tell us your plan. I want to know your plan. Tell me your plan. Anyway, so my plan was, I'm going to go to detox. I'll just get off the sauce, because that's my problem. And then I'll just go back to my old life. Because that's what I really want. When fun times, drinking and partying in New York, and everything that city had to offer, and it was plentiful. And I just wanted that fun times back. They had hammered into me the gravity of the things that I had been doing and how much I was drinking and all this other stuff. So I was like, all right, yeah. So I was pretty badly beaten up. I'm not going to go into the consequences at the time. So I was like, all right, I'll try it. So I said I would try your whole sobriety 12-step thing, even though I wasn't really excited about it. I'm probably going to be really, really lame. So I got out, I left detox shaking, and I said, I'll try it. I really tried it, and I really tried it, and I took all the suggestions that I heard thrown around meetings at that time. They told me to go to 90 meetings in 90 days, and I did that, get a sponsor. So I got a sponsor, get a home group. So I got a home group, get a commitment. So I started making coffee at my home group with my sponsor, and all went well for a time. It wasn't that bad. I was like, all right. And I know I made it 3 months. I got a 90-day coin. I know I didn't make it 6. Somewhere in between, I had this great idea, here's my plan again, that I should really just go back to my old life and things are going to be okay. And I'm talking about it in meetings. I'm like, I really want to drink. Like, hi, like, kind of, I think it'll be okay. I want to drink. And people are like, that's all right, kid. Meeting makers make it. So I made it to an awful lot of meetings, and I still want to drink. I'm like, okay. And I'm talking to my sponsors, like, you're an alcoholic. It's okay. You're supposed to want to drink. I was like, I really want to drink. It's like, just keep coming, kid. I was like, okay, I won't. And I left. And my plan was, so I'm gonna go to this, because there's like a 3-day long, like, gothic fetishy ball in New York City. I'm going to go there and drink there. And I'm going to have a great time. And backup plan. If it gets bad, I'll just go back to AA. It made so much sense. I was like, why didn't I do this sooner? It made so much sense. I did not know I'd already lost the power of choice in drink. It's gone. It's gone. So it just seems like it seems like I just changed my mind. It's like, oh, I was going to do this. Nope, I'll just go and do this instead. No choice in the matter whatsoever. But it always seems like I do. So I go to this thing, I start to drink, and I had an awesome time. I had an awesome time. They should make movies about nights like that. So I got to the bar, and I'm starting to drink, and I feel great. I finally get some relief, because I had untreated alcoholism, so I really needed some relief. And I'm going there, and there's this girl there. She had a giant purple mohawk. She was a fetish model. I had a crush on this girl for like 9 months before I got sober. There she is. I'm drinking, and I'm dancing, I'm schmoozing with her. Things are going well. There's children here. There was an adult film star there, and she asked if she could come home with me. I'm not lying. I'm not bragging either. I've actually never slept with either one of those. But what a boost to my ego, right? So I'm like, look at it. Like, I didn't get shot. I didn't get thrown out. I didn't throw up. I didn't get stabbed. I didn't get into a fight. Right? Everything's going great. Like, I drove home. I didn't get pulled over. I'm fine. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking about all these really grumpy old timers. Like, you go back out there, kid, it just gets worse. And I'm thinking to myself, between the fetish model and the porn star, it just gets worse. It's like, I don't think so, Grandpa. Maybe not. Keep coming. So, I'm fine. And it's really important. It talks about this type of thinking in the book, and more about alcoholism. It says, at times, it seems that we've regained control. Here I am. I got my old life back, and better. While those times, usually brief, are followed by still less control, which lead in time to pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. And that is exactly what happened. And I stayed up for 6 years. And basically, once I started drinking again, I became a daily drinker. And, I really knew I had to get back into college and just graduate. Then I'd finally grow up. And stop all these shenanigans. So it took a long time to get back into school. I got back into school. I even graduated. I couldn't believe I graduated. I even got a 3.5 as a daily drinker, and using opiates intermittently, and just a smidge. And and I graduated, and all my problems are going to be over now. As long as I can rest satisfaction and happiness out of this world. If only I manage well. If only everything goes according to plan, and everybody does what they're supposed to do, and I achieve all my goals, and I can cross it off the list, I'll be fine. I graduated college, and then I became a 24/7 round-the-clock daily drinker. I couldn't go for more than 4 hours without a drink. I woke up every day drunk from the night before or the onset of delirium tremens. The mind and body are marvelous mechanisms because mind endured that agony 2 more years. I was working at the same job I was in college, and a series of events brought me to recovery in New England. The first of which is pretty important. These 2 incidents pretty much sum up what's wrong with me as an alcoholic. So I was really mad at my girlfriend at the time. I don't know what it was. I'm sure she didn't either. She was like passed out on the couch, but whatever it was, I'm sure it was her fault. And so I was really mad, and I made a phone call, and he didn't call me back. So I grabbed the bottle of Wild Turkey 101, and I pounded it in about an hour. And I was like really like room spinning, knee walking, drunk. It was not fun, but I had an insatiable quest for more. And as soon as I had finished Mr. Dopeman, he had called me back, and we were good friends. We just hadn't seen each other in a while. So he lived half a block away. So that sounds like a good idea. So I went over to his house and I hunkered down. I just sat down and I shut up and I fell over and I turned purple and my heart stopped and I died. They resuscitated me, called my girlfriend at the time, said dial 911, come over and get him. She did that and actually came to coming out of her car and going into an ambulance. They gave me Narcan that actually takes all the opiates out of your system just like that, and I distinctly remember nobody had to fill me in. I knew exactly what had happened, and my first coherent thought was, whoa, thank God I'm still drunk. I'll be all right, thank God. It describes it in the doctor's opinion, while they admit it is injurious, meaning it causes me harm, they cannot, after a time, differentiate the true from the false. Right? Here I am. My thinking not was, how did I get here? What has life come to? Nope, thank God I'm still drunk. I'm going to be all right. And I went to the hospital. I was like, way to go, doc. Thanks for saving me. Good job. I left AMA. I went home. I drank the rest of my alcohol. Then I shot the rest of my dope. Because I can't not. This is not like I'm a tough guy and I can throw them back with the best of them. It's not about how much I drank. I literally can't not. I was salivating, thinking about it on the way home. It just made sense, And I did the same thing the day after that and the day after that. Because to me, the alcoholic life seems the only normal one. It's all I know. Like everything else is just burned to the ground. I remember I had a basement apartment with one window, that big. Tiny window, and I would stare out like drunk in the morning, just looking at people. Like walking a dog, going for a run, headed to school, going to work. And I would just think to myself, like, how do they do it? Like, how did they do it? Like, I couldn't remember what it was like to feel normal. Not even I was either like loaded or sick. That's all I remembered. So, yeah, that's all. I couldn't remember what it was like to be happy. Soon after that, I'll make a long story short, I'd been drunk that day, no surprise, and I picked up an associate in a not so neighboring town, and it wasn't that great a place, and we had 2 stops to make, and I made stop 1, and we're on our way to make stop 2, and I made some goofy turn, and there's a cop behind me, and the lights went up, and I was getting pulled over, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Party's long over. Nobody told Jeremy. I hate this big time. I don't want to do this anymore. And and because of that, I had this overwhelming, just honesty was just spewing out of me, and I was talking to this guy, and it was so weird because I don't know why I would ever tell the truth to a cop, but basically we had this little heart-to-heart, and I told him everything that because he asked me, I was like, yeah, I'm an alcoholic. I was in recovery before, and he seemed like you seem like you're a really good kid. You just need some help, and I said I do. And I really meant it, and I was biting my cheeks so hard to not cry in front of a cop, but he was right. And then I went to jail. I got arrested, but I stayed chained to a bench for 8 hours. But then I went home. And my girlfriend was foolish enough to come bail me out, and I bailed out, and I was sober. And I went home and I literally ran to the bottle. I literally ran to it, which was so weird because I just told the officer, and I meant it. Yeah, I'm an alcoholic. Yeah, I got a problem. Yeah, I need help. Self-knowledge avails me nothing. I cannot quit on the basis of self-knowledge. I just can't do it. And regardless of what I know the consequences to be, or how bad it is, or how much fun it's not going to be. It was fun, not fun anymore. Nah, long gone. I'll do it again and again. And my boss at that lame deli job as a college graduate, here I go, she had found out about those 2 incidents. She came over to my house, found me drunk in the morning. She said, I love you. You really need help, and you're fired. And on the way over here, I told your dad everything. Oh. What a blow to my pride. Not okay. But I didn't really know what else to do anyway, so I was half glad about that, and I called my dad and he said, come to Vermont. They had retired to Vermont. Go to the Brattleboro retreat, go to detox, and stay with us. I was like, fine. I mean, I already lost my job. I wasn't welcome to that house. My girlfriend was fed up with me and my car was off the road. Like, everything was just like falling apart. So I was like, all right, well, I'll try this again. And I went to detox and I stayed for a whopping 2.5 days. I was like, okay. They wouldn't pay for any aftercare. I was like, it's okay, I'm going back to AA. Here we go. And I went back to AA. And I took all the suggestions that I heard thrown around meetings at that time. They told me to go to 90 meetings in 90 days, and I did that, get a sponsor. So I got a sponsor, get a home group. So I got a home group. And I got a commitment, making coffee at my home group with my sponsor. And all went well for a time. And I liked it. For me, it was like middle of nowhere. A bunch of old people, But I liked it more than I even wanted to admit. And they really, really loved me. I'm in the middle of nowhere, there's a bunch of old people. I got a jet black mohawk, I'm from New York. It's like, don't talk to me. And all they could do was love me. And if they could have loved me in sobriety, they would have. They really would have. And I remember, so I was going to a lot of meetings, and it was kind of cool. And I remember I got my 6-month coin. I was very grateful about that. I hadn't been sober for 6 months since I was like 14 years old. And I relapsed that night. And I couldn't figure out why. I didn't want to drink anymore. Like before, I had made lots of sweet promises, but this time I'm in business. Like I really did. Like I was like totally done. I was like, that's weird. So I don't know. I thought it was just a momentary weakness. So I let's do it again. So I showed up early and I stayed late and I went to more meetings and I made more coffee and I called my sponsor more and then I drank again. And then I drank again. And then I drank again. Going meeting after meeting after meeting. And so I'll tell you one of those relapse stories. So, I mean, there were many, and they all have a story, but so one of these particular times I went to 3 meetings in one day. It's tough to do in southern Vermont. I don't know how it is around here, but it was very difficult, and I got to those meetings, and I showed up early, and I stayed late, and I talked to people before the meeting, and during the meeting, and after the meeting, I want to drink. Like, I'm craving it, and I raised my hand, and I called my sponsor, and I want to drink. And then I remember the last meeting was a speaker meeting, and I heard a whole bunch of things at that meeting that I now know don't actually truly apply to a guy like me. It's really a bunch of series of half-truths. It's all a whole bunch of good suggestions, but if left alone, don't actually keep me sober, is my experience. And they told me that meeting makers make it, and I've been making it to an awful lot of meetings, and meetings are important, and I kept drinking. They said, okay, kid, put the plug in the jug, you'll be all right. And my experience is I put the plug in the jug, eventually, I take the plug out, I drink it, and I go get another jug. Because I can't not. I'm incapable of not doing that. They said, just don't drink, come to meetings. I said, cool. If you want me to drink and come to meetings, I'm really good at that. I'll be here. But I can't. I don't seem to be able to do that for very long. And they said, you ready? You ready? You ready? You ready? Just don't drink, no matter what. I drink no matter what. I drink no matter what. I can't not. Don't tell me I'm powerless over alcohol and then say, hey kid, just choose not to drink today. I can't do it. Power implies choice and control. I have neither. So I got out of that meeting really thirsty, and I'm looking at those neon lights, and I'm thinking, like, I'm craving a drink, but I don't want to drink anymore. And I'm like, maybe I'll take some drugs. No, don't do that. You know what? I was like, all right, I'm just drink. And I was like, and a thought occurred to me, because they told me to play the tape and think the drink through. I was like, okay, so I'm playing the tape, and I'm thinking. I was like, no, that'll be bad. And suddenly, the thought crossed my mind, because I was like, well, I can't even drink. Even because I played the tape, I thought the drink through. I can't even drink, even if I wanted to, because I just got out of a meeting, and somebody from AA would see me. Right? Suddenly, the thought crossed my mind. There's a bar in Northampton, Massachusetts. It's only 35 minutes away. They're open until 2:30 in the morning. I can drink there. I've drank there before, and no one from AA will see me. Problem solved. Sounds like a great idea. Here's my plan. Sounds like a great idea, right? Because I have this peculiar mental twist that just flips the truth. My problem being alcoholism. I don't want to do this anymore. I hate my life, and I'm going to die again. It takes that, pushes that easily aside for the insane idea that I can drink in safety as long as no one from AA sees me. Problem solved. I was already in my car when I came up with this master plan, so I'm just going to change my clothes and go right back out there. And the obsession, because that's what that was. Every time my mind lies to me, that's the mental obsession. Every time it tricks me into drinking, that's the mental obsession. It occurs when I have no alcohol in my system whatsoever. And the mental obsession was so strong since I already made the plan to drink, I had to drink the first thing in front of me, which was a bottle of Listerine. The other part, I've already mentioned it, this abnormal reaction I have to alcohol once I take any into my system whatsoever, I can't stop, so I drank a second bottle of Listerine, and the first one wasn't good. And I stopped at the package store and I drank there, and I went to the bar and I drank at the bar. I yelled at the bartender for not serving me fast enough. I closed that bar, and then I went home and I drank everything I could find that my parents had not hidden on their alcoholic son. And I woke up the next morning wondering how it had all happened. I went to 3 meetings in one day. I showed up early and stayed late. I called my sponsor. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me, it's described in that book. I mean, those are all, but, meetings are important and keep me sober. But what's wrong with me, it's described in the book as well. It says to be doomed to an alcoholic death or live a life on a spiritual basis are not always easy alternatives to face. Very true for this guy. I remember the first time I went to AA, I saw those window shades in the first detox and the first meeting I went to, and I was like, whoa, what does God have to do with my drinking? I don't think so. I'm all set. I told myself mentally, because of course I wouldn't admit it to anyone out loud, but I'm pretty sure I'd rather die than believe in your fake God. I'm all set, thanks. And that's exactly what happened. And I came back to AA and I still won't have it. I was this guy as being described as violently anti-religious. I do not use the term lightly. And I was extremely opposed to all spiritual terms. This idea of getting bristle with antagonism, the mere mention of spiritual terms, my face would get red, this little vein would pop out, and I'd get so mad. And they would tell me to do this, and say that please in the morning, and thank you at night. And I'm like, no. I wouldn't have it. I have a significant amount of tattoos, and I would let you know that my tattoo artist is a Satanist, just to make you uncomfortable. And I would listen to my black metal very loudly as your church congregation got out on Sunday morning with the windows down, just minding my own business. And, I fornicated in church basements to get back at them. And, I owed some amends to some various church folk and things like that. I went to concerts where Bibles were burned, that type of thing. Anything I could throw back at them, because I'm just not going to have it. I don't think so. You're talking to the wrong guy. And lo and behold, I drank again. And then I drank again. And people were trying to help me. There wasn't a lot of big book there, but there was a bunch of higher power talk. There was. And they were trying to, be friendly and kind. And I knew that meant well, but it was like, oh, your higher power can be anything. I was like, first of all, higher power, I'm not stupid. I know what you mean. Not dumb. Not this guy. You mean God, you're not going to trick me. And secondly, higher power can be anything? Really? Do you know how weak that sounds? They're like, oh, it could be a light bulb. It's like, that is so stupid. Listen to yourself. Light bulbs just burn out anyway, they break. It made me want to smash all the lights anyway. It's like, smash goes Jed. I win. Nietzsche was right. And so I was actually extremely opposed to, and I'm not going to have it. Your flimsy ideas. And lo and behold, surprise, surprise, then I drank again. And then I drank again and again and again. And I had this idea. I'm going to share it with you now. I share it an awful lot all over the... I had a moment. I'm going to let you know, I didn't do anything with this idea, but I had there's a fleeting thought that just maybe I could... Has anyone ever seen the movie Star Wars? Yes? Okay. So I thought, well, maybe I could make the Force my higher power. So what I know now and I didn't know then is, see, in Star Wars, the Force says that's what gives a Jedi Knight his power, right? It says in this book, lack of power, that is my dilemma. I had to find a power by which I could live, and it had to be a power greater than myself. Makes sense? The Force is actually described as being an energy field created by all living things. It says in the big book, God is everything, or he is nothing. The Force is described as it surrounds us, and it binds us, and it penetrates us. Gets in there, penetrates. Talks about it in Bill's story, like the wind of a clean mountaintop blowing through and through. It penetrates us. It also says the Force is what binds the galaxy together. Several times this, higher power is described as the spirit of the universe, capital S, capital U. Makes sense? It says that the Force, a Jedi can feel the Force flowing through him, right? Third step promise, we felt new power flow in. It says right there in the book. Makes sense. Also, so later in one of those movies, Luke is talking to this guy Yoda, his grand sponsor. And he's trying to figure out, the dark side from the light, the good side from the bad. And he asks, is the dark side more powerful? And he says, no, it's not. But it's quicker and more seductive. And it says it in how it works. We tried to find an easier and softer way. But we could not. I didn't know any of that. I also didn't know that George Lucas, when coming up with his conception of the Force, studied a lot of Eastern religions and philosophies. Didn't know that. I also didn't know that William James, who's cited twice in the big book, by the way, when he wrote this book called Varieties of Religious Experience, he summed up everything in the back of the book, all these conversion experiences, religious and spiritual experiences, into one godlike phrase, and he called it the more. Capital M-O-R-E. The more. That was the father of American psychology. If he can call it the more, I can call it the Force. But I didn't know that. I had none of that experience. Nobody took me through this book, and it's not their fault. But I didn't have it. And all that remained to me in the vestiges, these old prejudices, and the worldly clamors, all the noise and the racket that's going on up here in my head, and what it looked like at that time was, do not tell anybody that, Jeremy. That is so stupid. That is dumb. And if you do, it means you sold out. It means they broke you. And you're just another religious nut job. Drink the Kool-Aid. Get in line, sheep. And then I drank again. And then I drank again and again. I lied to the dentist and I got some painkillers and I drank again. I made a little pit stop down at Kingston, New York. And the last time I got drunk, I was drunk for 2 weeks straight. In the middle of that, I picked up a week's worth of dope, and of course it lasted 3 minutes, and I was sick as a dog after that. And I kept drinking after that 3 days, not 3 minutes, sorry. But and I was sick as a dog, and I drank the next 3 days, and this 2 weeks. And I came to in my parents' upstairs bathroom. I had been puking blood, and stomach bile was coming out of my nose. It was actually seeping out of my tear ducts. And I was greatly disturbed, because that had happened to me before. And I knew it was going to happen to me again. And then I was going to die. And I didn't know what to do. And the only thing that I could think of was to call Howard. Howard was my grand sponsor at the time, and I knew he could meet me at the 5:30 Friday meeting early. And he did, and I went over there, and I have no idea how I even got it. I don't even remember to this day how I got there. And I was all sorts of disheveled, had a cut-off t-shirt on, and it was February. And Howard quickly, because he was embarrassed for me, quickly whisked me into the little children's playroom so that we could talk, which was super embarrassing. I was so mortified. And my face was all sorts of swollen, and I sat down at a little plastic Fisher-Price table, and I looked Howard straight in the face, and I told him everything that was going on. And I said, I can't stop. I can't stop. And Howard had made the point-blank declaration that God had done for him what he could not do for himself. And my ideas about miracles were drastically revised right then. Never mind the musty past. Here sat a miracle directly across the table. And he shouted great tidings. And Howard asked me to do the one thing that I was not willing to do. He said, pray with me. So I said, okay. And we got on our knees and we held hands, and I don't know if Howard said anything at all, and I don't know if I spoke it or if I thought it. I just said, please. Please help me. I can't do this anymore. And I walked out of the room a free man. I've never had the obsession, desire, compulsion to drink from that moment to this. Last Sunday was 6 years ago. Quite important was the discovery that spiritual principles would solve all my problems. I've since been brought into a way of life infinitely more satisfying and I hope more useful than my last. I've been risen from the alcoholic scrap heap to a level of life better than the best I've ever known. Something happened. It poured over and through me with the certainty and majesty of a great tide at flood. God comes... yeah. God comes to most men gradually. His impact on me was sudden and profound. And I remember I woke up the next morning on fire. I'm the guy on fire. And I am not the only one. We are growing in numbers and power. And I absolutely wanted to be one of his guys. And I didn't know what to do about it. I didn't know how to do it. And I didn't even want to admit it, because who wants to be a hypocrite, right? Like, all right, you're right, you're right, you're right. God is good. Jerk. So I emerged from that experience. I'm like, all right, I'm all set. Let's do it. We'll do some step works. I'm ready to write a 4-step. My sponsor was like, you just drank. You're on step 1. And technically, he was right. He was. I did just drink. And I was like, when am I not on step 1? I was looking at powerless, unmanageable. I think I get it. Like, what's next? And they were like, just keep coming. Meet him right I was like, whoa, hold up. No, what's next? Like, that doesn't work for me. What's next? And so I went to an awful lot of meetings and I was sharing about my experience, kind of what happened. I wasn't really sure what it really was at the time. And it was like, just keep coming, you'll be okay. I was like, whoa, no, what's next? And I basically ran around the halls of Alcoholics Anonymous for a year and a half, 18 months, trying to figure out what's next. And I would tell people, like, that's great, just keep coming, kid. I'm like, I'm still here, help me, what's next? And I tried to work the steps on my own. The results were disastrous. I don't recommend you do that. And what happened eventually, I ran into a guy whose whole deportment shouts, here's a man with a real answer. The lights were on and somebody was home. This guy spoke a different language. He's now my 10-step buddy. His name is Nick. And he told me there's a big book step study meeting in Keene. It's not too far from you. Why don't you go there, see my friend Bruce. He helped start that meeting. And talk to him, and I absolutely knew I had to do exactly what this guy told me. Just like he was so calm, And I went and I listened to this guy share as the meeting went around as a circle, and I was listening to him, and he carried a message of depth and weight. Bruce knew what he was talking about when he talked about working these steps. He wasn't even doing well at the time; like he was really struggling, but he had a solution. He talked about drinking without his own permission for 38 years, and I identified. And I had told myself, I absolutely have to get this guy to help me. And it was actually 8 o'clock the next morning. It was 8 a.m. And I was like, Nick, give me that guy's number right now. And he did. And I called up Bruce and I asked him to help me and take me through the work. And he said he would be honored. He said he would be honored. And then I asked the question and I said it word for word. What's next? And Bruce always knew what was next because someone had taken the time to take him through, and I had a lot going on. So he said, I want you to read the doctor's opinion up to page 63 and stop where I tell you to stop. I want you to underline things that are important, significant, that stick out to you, that you can identify with, circle the words you're not familiar with, and look them up. When we're all done, we will read it together. And I did that. And we're all done. I read it together, and I clearly saw that on step 1 and 2, I got it. I'm already there. Problem, solution, let's go. And I took a 3rd step. I got on my knees. I offered myself to God as I better understand him. I don't understand him now, and that's okay. And I did a formal 3rd step, and I put pen to paper. I wrote a 4th step. It was neurotic and angry since birth. I have fantastic memory. So it was actually 2,200 pages long. And I was all done with that. Yep, I was all done with that. I read it to him. It took me 70 hours just to read the thing to him. And I went home. I took my hour with God. I took the book. I put it on the shelf, and then I took it off the shelf because it says we take it off the shelf, and I don't know what else to do. I was very, very willing to not be that giant 4-step guy anymore. So I was really willing, and I asked him to take it. That's 6 and 7. Whatever's left over, I have to deal with it. I made a list of all persons I had been harmed, became willing to make amends to them all. And I went out, and I actually made amends to them all. I have 2 financial payments left, but I made amends to every one of them. I had 100. And I practice 10, 11, 12 every day to the best of my ability. It means I continue to take personal inventory. I right the wrongs as they come up. I open and close my day with prayer and meditation. I do a nightly review every single night, and I practice these principles in all my affairs, which I don't actually do that great, but I work really, really hard at. And I sponsor a bunch of guys, and I speak all over the place, not just meetings in jails, institutions, detoxes, halfway houses, sober houses, potlucks, roundups, conventions, and plain ordinary whoopee parties. And I have had a spiritual awakening as the result. And I'm not the same. In a good way. I'm just not the same. Like, I'm not all better. Talk to anyone who talked to me for 5 minutes before the meeting. Not all better. But I'm better. And if I continue to do this work, I will get better still. And, I basically said what that looked like. I need to do an inventory every year. And I do some other stuff. And I'd love to share with you some of the things that happened along that journey and what I'm like now. Because a lot of cool stuff happened along. It wasn't just like, oh, got to 12, I'm awakened. Stuff happened. Stuff just shows up. And some of it's really cool. Taking a third step, that was cool. Nothing really happened. But it was just a matter of, willingness. I was really willing. I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. My sponsor actually asked me if I would swear to him, to God, and to myself that I would finish this work and help another man through. And I said yes, and I actually meant it. I wasn't lying. Who'd have thunk it? And I made good. I made good on that. And I've taken that, confident, intimate step with another man in jail. That's weird. I don't know how they had I had the willingness because I had a conscious contact with God. Where that guy had the willingness to get on his knees and hold hands with another man in jail, I don't know. It's probably his willingness too. But it's just all, and it was cool. It was cool. I love that story. So I just took a third step and I started writing. And as I said, it was kind of long, which is not most people's experience. And that's fine. It's just, have your own experience. Just follow the instructions in the book. If you look at our founders, their inventories were usually much shorter. But that's what happened. But, it didn't really seem like much. It was just a bunch of stuff. Yeah, I'm mad at them. They didn't do what I want. And I'm mad at them. They didn't do, this girl didn't like me. And she really should have. A lot of petty, dumb stuff. But it really bothered me. Really. I would write it down and be like, oh, and the pen's going through the paper. And, things like that. And it's funny because, childhood, obviously I described some of what that looked like to you. And this discomfort that I had going all the time. And I had a lot of decisions based on self. A lot of decisions that I made about life and about me from fear and resentment. I had a lot of stuff going on. And I remember this particularly traumatic event one time. So I got held back in second grade. It made me very mad. I was so resentful at my parents and the school. They held me back. And so I'm second grade. And obviously I made that decision right there and then. You're stupid. So here I am. I'm second grade. I'm stupid. And but I'm a twin, so you can't leave back one without the other. So he got left back too. So not only am I stupid, but it's all my fault. These are the things that I make decisions, and I have no idea that I'm living my entire life this way. And my parents weren't around much, and that's why I got left back, because I wasn't a good reader. So if my parents were around more, and they read to me at night, which they did not read to me at night, which is not actually true either. They did, but just not much. But, that's what the resentment looks like. It's not true. So I'm mad at my parents. So clearly, my parents don't love me and nobody cares about me. And I'm stupid and it's not my fault. I had these ideas all the time. I remember I got really mad at Santa this one time. He didn't bring me what I wanted for Christmas. Not okay. And selfish and self-centeredness to the core. And so I got really mad. And I remember what I did get for Christmas was written in my mom's handwriting. So I knew that Santa wasn't real. And I did the math. I figured it all out. See, it was like Santa's not real, then the Tooth Fairy can't possibly exist. And if Tooth Fairy's not real, then this whole Easter Bunny, that's a load of bupkis, right? And if the Easter Bunny is real, then the resurrection was false. There was no Jesus Christ, and God is dead. And there is no God. Because I didn't get what I wanted for Christmas. So here I am. I'm stupid. It's all my fault. Nobody cares about me. My parents don't love me, and there is no God. And other than that, childhood was great. So, and so I look at this stuff and I see the truth and the absurdity in half of this stuff. But that really burned me. That was a resentment I was holding on to with a death grip. And you see just how dumb that is, and it's not as difficult to let it go. But I need a process to do that. And it was funny, actually, because while I was writing this monumental fourth step, I ignored a lot of other responsibilities, and my sister was always whining because she lived in one town up, or it's 20 minutes. She was like, why don't you come to visit? We never see you. And I was like, I'm busy, I'm carrying the message of AA, and I'm writing this fourth step, and I'm so serious. And so I came up to visit, and I got there, and I didn't want to be there. And it totally smelled, She had like a little toddler running around, and he smelled, and she had a dog, and it smelled. And I remember telling myself I'd rather be home writing inventory, and I didn't want to be there. So I'm hanging out, and we're talking, and she was actually talking about how nice it was that our parents, my mom and dad, were around for her boy, hang out, to be there, and babysit and all this stuff, because they weren't around a lot when we were little. And I was like, yeah, that's right. And I'm rehashing the resentments that I just told you about, and I'm thinking, we're going over it, like, and I got bullet points in my mind, like, yeah, they didn't do this, and I'm just as we're going through this conversation, I feel a little like tug on my pant leg, and I look down, and I see her little boy. He's standing right there, and he's got a book in his hand, and what he's doing is this. And I was like, what's up with that? And my sister said, he wants you to read him a story. So I picked him up, and I put him on my knee, and I read him a story. And then he got down, and I grabbed another book, and then I read him another story. And then he got down, and I picked him up, and I read him another. This probably happened 5 times. And I got free. I saw that my parents had 3 children. I'm a twin. 3 children in less than 3 years, and worked an awful lot to support a family when we didn't have any money. And when they were home as much as they could. And when they read to me as much as they could. It was just a story made up in my head. And I could be there for that little boy, which is so weird, because I would so gladly deprive an infant, a child, of something because I felt I was not given that. And I got totally free. And that was my experience with going through the 4th and 5th step. It's just this tremendous amount of freedom. That's what it was like to read all that to my sponsor. It's just like I had this suit of armor that I had erected for myself to keep you out and to keep me safe and to keep everything that was like a lie in there and all the truth from getting in. And so by reading my 5th step, nothing really, no big ahas, but it was like just taking a piece of armor and just discarding, getting rid of that, and then, exposed to the light and the truth. And God got in, and 6 and 7, nothing much really happened there either. Well, it's not entirely true. Nothing really happened when I did 6 and 7. But I'm debating all these, like what am I supposed to look like now that I've done this? Are these defects removed? What is, do I get a say in it? I should, because I think I should have a say in it. That was one of the reasons, like looking back, I was so violently opposed to religion and God, because in my mind, there can only be one God, and I think it should be me. I really did. It's like there can't be 2 of us, and it should be really me, and which is absolutely insane. But so if I'm not in charge of what my life is going to look like, or how well or not well I am, and it was just, I was totally stuck in my head. So I just moved on. So I started, making amends, and a lot of them went really well. It was really powerful. It was really cool stuff. And I remember I grew up in New York, so I went into Manhattan. I had 3 amends to make one day, and I made 2 of them. I had a lot of time to kill. And so I only got time to kill. I'm always hungry, so let me go eat. And I went and eat, and the only place I could find in that neighborhood, and it was a little Chinese place, it's tiny. And there was no place to sit other than 2 stools in front of a wall of mirrors. It was very uncomfortable. So, so I don't know about anybody, but I had tremendous amounts of resentments. I hated lots of people. And if I hated anybody more than you, it was me. I was just not okay with me. Nothing was all right about Jeremy. It was simply not enough. And I went through a lot of those 4th steps. Yeah, great, cool. And then something happened to me, though. In between 2 amendments and making amends, and I had 1 left, I was eating in this place, in this Chinese food, staring at this wall of mirrors, just being uncomfortable. And then something happened. And I looked up, and I caught my own reflection, my own eye gaze. And something spoke to me. It was my voice, but it wasn't mine. It wasn't for me. And it just said, that guy Jeremy? He's okay. And I'm okay. I'd never been more okay in that moment than any other. And I started crying because it was pretty overwhelming. And I left my Chinese food and I grabbed my crappy flip phone because I didn't have any money. And I called my sponsor and said, "Oh my God, I'm really getting better. I'm really getting better." And he said, "Yeah, you are." And tears streaming down my face. But bottom line is it's just this whole process of how do I get better? What is it going to look like? Just trust in the process and keep marching. Keep trudging. And that's what it looked like for me. And I'd love to say that I didn't have any kind of self-doubt or self-pity or morbid reflection from that moment to this. Totally not true. But I've never had that level of self-hatred and disgust. It's never come up. And I've had some hard times. I've had some rejection. I've had things not go Jeremy's way. It's a design for living that works in rough going. And it really does work. So I just marched on and, I made all of my amends. The one to my mom was pretty powerful. It was very helpful. Because, there's a lot of healing that goes on in the process of amends. And, I didn't really know what my mom really wanted, so I made amends. I told her all the stuff, like this and this and this. And, of course, I asked, "Is there anything else? Did I miss anything, leave anything out?" She had a couple things. I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's right." But the one thing that bothered me, this is my mother, the one thing that bothered her the most was when she said, "All we ever wanted to do was to let you know that we loved you. And you wouldn't let us. You would never let us in." And, I don't know entirely how to make that right other than to go home and let them know that I am loved. And that's, I do that to the best of my mind. I roll that into practice these principles in all my affairs, but it made a big deal for her. And I got to acknowledge that. I was okay, yeah, I get it. And that's exactly, she's right. She was totally right. That's exactly what I did, because I was always angry at something. I don't even know what. I had a lot of reasons, but it was just a wonderful process. And living in 10, 11, 12 every day, it keeps me fit. I do an inventory once a year, just because I found it beneficial. But I do a lot of work. I speak at a lot of detoxes, conventions. I made a promise to my ex-girlfriend and my sponsor and God that I would not speak out of town more than once a week, because that was happening a lot, and it was just too much. So these things, but at times, because when I do that, I get resentful, and then I'm not here, I'm not carrying the message, I'm just, crossing off my list. Jeremy gets an A in AA, look at me, here I go again, and that's not really what it's all about. So I try and do the best I can, but I remember this one particular story that helps me whenever I think about it. I have that 10-step buddy, Nick. We were driving to some commitment, and I think I was in the middle of writing that 4-step, and I was the outreach chair for NISCIPA, which is the New Hampshire State Conference for Young People in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I was doing an awful lot. I was helping newcomers and getting people organized and outreaching. I was just doing so much, and I would get up at 4:30 every morning, I'd meditate for half an hour, I'd write for half an hour, then I'd go to work, and I'd write for half an hour at work, then half an hour after work, then I'd go to a meeting, and on and on and on, right? And that was what my life looked like, and I'd go to a meeting in Brattleboro, and some old-timer would be like, "This works like osmosis, you just come in and get better." And I'm like, I'm so mad, I want to kill that guy. It's like, love and tolerance, no, I'm going to kill him. So I'll keep coming. So I don't think of him like that anymore, but that was my attitude. I'm complaining about it to my buddy Nick in the car as we're going to carry the message and bring the solution, and I'm so resentful. And Nick happens to be a Christian. I am not, which either way it really doesn't matter. But this is one of the particular ways that I was able to be quick to see where religious people were right and make use of what they had to offer. And Nick was listening to my rant, and he's a very spiritual, calm dude. He's like my own personal, Dr. Bob. He's very chill. It's good for a guy like me. And he relayed to me a story that he had listened to from some preacher on the radio that morning. That very morning. Is that odd or is that God? And it was basically this woman, this preacher, and she's very famous. She has a radio program. She has recorded CDs, all this stuff. And she does a lot for her community and her congregation. She does the food drive and the homeless, blanket drive and the clothing thing and all the Sunday school and all this stuff, right? And she's actually, in that sermon that morning, was talking about, she looked around her congregation, she sees a lot of people not doing that stuff. They maybe show up on Sunday in their Sunday best, they drop $1 in the basket, plate, whatever, and then they go on their merry way. And she was getting pretty bitter about that, because she had to go and do all this stuff. And she went into what she calls guidance, I call meditation. She asked her conception of God. She said, "Lord, why am I doing all this when so many people aren't? Why do I have to go and do so much when I see people getting away with so much less?" And what came to her was, "You're asking for a lot, do you want it or not? I'm asking for a lot. Do I want it or not? Like, I don't know if you've noticed, I'm a little tightly wound, right? Just the ability to stay sober is a divine act of providence, nevertheless have any amount of serenity and peacefulness. I'm asking for a lot. Do I want it or not? And I want it. And if I want it, I need to do the work to get it. I don't know what their experience is. I don't even know if those people will stay sober. I know I can and will, so provided I do the instructions that are laid out to me. And if I continue to do this work, I'll just get better still. It's not about being perfect. It's about just getting better, you know? And I fall short and have bad days. That's what Steps 10 is designed for. Like, it's just this fail-safe, like, whoop, messed up. Not if, but when. Let me clean it up. Sometimes you just gotta eat a little crow and clean it up. You know, whether it's writing or an amends or whatever the case may be. And I live a spiritual life and practice these principles. I'm not, I fall short there too. But I just do the best I can. You know, speaking in meetings is really easy. Like, I don't even have any fear about doing this anymore. It doesn't bother me at all. You know, having the talk when a guy is not doing the work, and our relationship as sponsor and sponsee is I give him the instructions and I take him through the work and he does it. Having this conversation again gets me uncomfortable. Because eventually, if he doesn't, I have to say, I can't help you. You should probably go someplace else. And sometimes they drink. And it's happened to me many times. I had to watch a guy that's not willing to write a 4-step. It's like, I don't think I can help you. Eventually, we stopped working together. He's still drinking. It happens a good amount, but my job is to take their hand and put it in the hand of God. I'm just the middleman, really. I'm just like, here's the instructions, here you go. If you want what I have, this is what I did. I can give it to you free of charge, happy and gratefully, but that's really all I can do. You know, and I do those little tidbits, those little random instructions and directions in the book, and I really love, it's like going in detoxes and, staying in the fire line. We can go to the most sordid spot on earth, and sometimes that's the local Looney Nooner. And just carry the message and just stay on fire. My book tells me to stay on the firing lines of life, and I try and work really hard at doing that. And, I don't do any of this program perfectly, but we just show up and do the best we can. And you know what? Sure, I'll tell that story and then shut up. Because there's a lot of good that's going on in my life, and a lot of discomfort. Like moving to Quincy, I'm from Quincy, Massachusetts. I'm not from there, I'm from New York, and I moved to Vermont. From Vermont, I moved to Hampshire. In Hampshire, I moved to Massachusetts. It's like, this is all for, I don't want to have to move. I think I moved 6 or 7 times in sobriety. This is getting a little bit much. God, can't I just, I didn't want to move to Quincy. The opportunity opened up, and it just felt like I was being led there. I try and go where the door's open. It just works out so much better. I have all these ideas of like that I should have a girlfriend and that everything can work out. I should make a lot of money, and people should really think I'm important. You shouldn't. And all these freaking delusions that just go where the door's open. Trust God, clean house, help others, you'll be fine. How could you not be? God is that good. He really knows what he's doing. Maybe we should let him. Maybe, just maybe, run the show. I try. I struggle with that. But, it's a good thing. So, my physical health is better than it's ever been. My spiritual status is better than it's ever been. Things are not going well for Jeremy. And, there's a lot of problems at work. A lot of things going wrong. I'm single, and that can't be okay. And, all sorts of, my car, there's all these things. It's so what? If I get present. And then I finally found what's next. Because I chased sobriety the same way I chased the drink. And I'm running around, what's next? And I'm making another amends and another amends. I got another sponsee, I almost dragged him off the street, you're coming with me. It's not quite that bad, but close to it. Anyways, you have no choice in the matter. It's not that bad. But, I'm chasing it, what's next? What's next? And, when I wake up in the morning, it's meditation start, go. It's just, and I'm still like that. But, I finally, I've crossed all the T's, I've dotted all the I's, I've come there, and I have plenty of room to grow. There's plenty of room for improvement with Jeremy, and that's okay. But, I finally got to this place of, what's next is now. Here it is. This is all I got. It's just right now. Just be here. And when I take care of business, clean house, then I can actually be here with you. Right now. Not like way off in the future, because having goals and getting excited about the future is totally fine. It's a very human thing to do. But I'll get wrapped up in there and I'll just live in La La Land, and I'll miss this, being here with you. You know, and I'll trudge back into resentment land of the past. You know, I'll bring that to my future, and nothing will ever work out because this one thing that happened one time and failed, and I look bad. I can never do it again. I get rid of that. Because that's in the past. Put the past back in the past. And I can do whatever. And be here with you. And what can't we do then? Really. It's incredible. You know, and then life is really good. And I'll tell this one story about having fun in sobriety, which I love to tell, and I usually wrap with that, and then I'll leave it alone. So I distinctly remember how lame and boring sobriety was going to be, because I knew it. And I remember because I didn't think which is not true. I have a lot of fun in sobriety. But I remember sitting in my first, I think it was my first meeting ever, in that first detox back in New York. And what was going on is there was a panel of speakers that came in. It was like Saturday, 2 o'clock. And, you know, we're just listening. And really, they're clearly a bunch of losers. Got nothing better to do on a Saturday afternoon than coming into a hospital detox. And so I'm listening to them, and they're sharing their experience, but more they're trying to, you know, talk about sobriety and how awesome it is, and it doesn't really sound that awesome. And they're getting through, and we got to this last woman, and God bless this lady. God bless her. And she was talking about how awesome AA is in sobriety and how wonderful it is. And oh my God, it's so great. It's just fantastic. And it's so much fun. We go bowling. I was like, wait, like really? Like bowling? That's what you got to sell me? Bowling? Like I remember, like I drank in Europe. They called it study abroad. I called it drinking in Europe, potato, whatever. And I remember drinking in Europe in clubs till like dawn, and there'd be like girls like half naked swinging from the ceiling in metal cages. Like, I'm supposed to give that up for bowling? Are you kidding me? Really? So truth be told, I've gone bowling like 3 times in sobriety. I had a really fun time. I highly recommend it. Try it out. Go bowling or miniature golf or whatever suits you. So the point really is that in sobriety, when I'm free of all this stuff, sobriety, like fun just happens. It just occurs. Like I don't have to like create it or induce it, because I told myself I'm going to have to be entertained and elated at every waking moment to get through this terrible existence that is sobriety. And it's not true. You know, just fun just happens. So it's a lot of fun. It's not always fun, but it is a lot of fun. But more than like the fun part, because, you know, my mindset as a drinker is, oh, I gotta have fun. So more than that is, sobriety is extremely rewarding. Like I have a life of value and substance. That really good gut feeling that I don't know if I ever experienced before, right? Like I have a sense of direction and purpose. Like I finally have a tiny, tiny glimpse of what it's all about and what I'm supposed to be doing. Did anybody else kind of just wander through life being like, what the heck is going on? What am I doing here? Like, that was me. Just always stuck in my head. Uncomfortable. What is this all about? You know, now I don't need to know what it's all about, but I have a vague idea of where I'm supposed to go, what I'm supposed to do, and whom. You know, and then I can be useful to my fellows and show up and hopefully serve my God. And it's a good deal. You know? Nobody told me that this, you know, just this whole life and this work would be easy. They told me it would be worth it. And it absolutely is. If you have not had an experience, I totally invite you to have an experience. And remember, the force will be with you. Always. That's all I got. God bless. Thank you.
Well, Jeremy, thank you for an epic talk. Thanks for coming down. Let's give him one more hand. For coming back. 5 and a quarter hours each way. It's 11 hours. Could we show him, like, you know, some thanks for his coming out? We'll form a line and thank him because it's an epic job he did. There's a couple things I got to announce. We always have some great speakers here, but this one on March 25th, Paul H. is coming in from San Francisco, California. Mark that on your calendar. It'll be pretty eventful. We have Peter M. doing our anniversary, April 22nd. He's going to do a workshop here all day, and he will speak again at night. We do have a website, just Google AA Saturday night, 1 hour speaker meeting, Doylestown, you'll find it. And we are on Facebook, so search us out on there. We got a nice way of closing, and thanks for coming out.